flower as May never bore. But I said, I've a pretty rose tree, and I passed the sweet flower o'er. Then I went to my pretty rose tree, to tend her by day and by night. But my rose turned away with jealousy, and her thorns were my only delight. And her thorns were my only delight. Offered to me, such a flower as May never bore. But I said, I've a pretty rose tree, and I passed the sweet flower o'er. Then I went to my pretty rose tree, to tend her by day and by night. But my rose turned away with jealousy, and her thorns were my only delight. And her thorns were my only delight.
That's Allen Ginsberg and friends singing William Blake. It's always a pleasure when Allen Ginsberg's turn to read comes up. He always has something to say, and he does know how to get before the public and say it. He's been like a Pied Piper, I think, taking younger people, I think myself one of them, and directing them to take our rage and our anguish and our natural compassion into poetry, and then helping us know that we in the poem count for something, even in this place, in this time, in this country. And he always makes himself available. If you have to talk to him, you usually can get to him. We're going to listen today to part of a reading recorded a year ago in New Brunswick, a benefit for Longshot magazine, and Allen reads a long section from his classic poem Kaddish, which is something we don't get to hear too often. And then he follows it with a new poem, sort of an addition to Kaddish, describing a strange dream he once had. Since this reading, he's come out with his collected poems, which I suppose is as good an introduction as any, although I'm still more inclined to suggest that people pick up one of his City Lights books. This recording was made from the audience, and it picks up both amplified and unamplified voice. Although the energy is unmistakable, you may want to cut your bass response a bit and maybe increase the treble so that the hiss will be more prominent, but so will the words. And let's hope this tape kind of hangs in there. There's usually language in Allen Ginsberg's poems that may conceivably offend you, and if that's so, then wait until later, and then maybe we can come up with some music that will offend you too. So this is Allen Ginsberg reading in New Brunswick at Rutgers University.
I want to go back then to a year later, in 1957, 1960, and read parts of a longer poem, Kaddish, and then read a epilogue or sequel to Kaddish that I wrote several months ago. So what I'll do is read the prologue to the poem Kaddish. The poem is Kaddish is a Hebrew word, the mass or lament or ceremony for the dead in Hebrew. This is for my mother, Naomi Ginsberg, who lived many, many years in Greystone State Hospital, and there had a series of insulin and Metrosol shock treatments, or then electroshock treatments, and then a lobotomy, and died in New York State Hospital's Pilgrim State. So this is a long narrative poem, and this is the beginning or proem of the poem, and a few lyric interludes at the end. That was the beginning of the story, introduction to the story, and then some lyric. Kaddish for Naomi Ginsberg, 1894-1956. Strange now to think of you, gone without corsets and eyes, while I walked on the sunny pavement of Greenwich Village, downtown Manhattan, clear winter noon, and I've been up all night, talking, reading the Kaddish aloud, listening to Ray Charles' blues shout blind on the phonograph, the rhythm, and your memory in my head 3 years after, and read Adonais' last triumphant stanzas aloud, wept, realizing how we suffer, and how death is that remedy all singers dream of. Sing, remember, prophecy is in the Hebrew anthem or the Buddhist book of answers, and my own imagination of a withered leaf at dawn. Dreaming back through life, your time and mine accelerating toward apocalypse, the final moment, the flower burning in the day, and what comes after, looking back on the mind itself that saw an American city a flash away, and the great dream of me or Russia or China and you in a phantom Russia or a crumpled bed that never existed, like a poem in the dark, escaped back to oblivion. No more to say, nothing to weep for but the beings in the dream, trapped in its disappearance, sighing, screaming with it, buying and selling pieces of phantom, worshipping each other, worshipping a God included in it all, longing or inevitability, while it lasts, a vision. Anything more? It leaps about me as I go and walk the street, look back over my shoulder, 7th Avenue, the battlements of window office buildings shuttering each other high in Manhattan under a cloud, tall as the sky an instant, and the sky above, an old blue place. Or down the avenue to the south as I walk toward the Lower East Side, where you walked 50 years ago, little girl, from Russia, eating the first poisonous tomatoes of America, frightened on the dock, then struggling in the crowds of Orchard Street toward what? Toward Newark, toward candy store, first homemade sodas of the century, brown churned ice cream in back room on musty brown floor boards, towards education, marriage, nervous breakdown, operation, teaching school, and learning to be mad in a dream. What is this life? Toward the key in the window, and the great key lays its head of light on top of Manhattan and over the floor and lays down on the sidewalk in a single vast beam, moving, as I walk down First Avenue toward the Yiddish Theater and the place of poverty you knew and I know, but without caring now. Strange to have moved through Patterson and the West and Europe and here again with the cries of Spaniards now in the door stoops, doors, and dark boys on the street. Fire escapes old as you, though you're not old now. That's left here with me, myself anyhow, maybe as old as the universe, and I guess that dies with us. Enough to cancel all that comes. What came is gone forever, every time. That's good. That leaves it open for no regret. No fear, radiators, lack love, torture, even toothache in the end. Though while it comes, it's a lion that eats the soul. And the lamb, the soul in us, alas, offering itself in sacrifice to changes, fierce hunger, hair and teeth, and the roar of bone pain, skull bare, break rib, rot dark-skinned, brain-tricked implacability. Aye, we do worse. We are in a fix. You're out. Death let you out. Death had the mercy. You're done with your century. Done with God. Done with the path through it. Done with yourself at last. Pure, back to the babe dark before your father, before us all, before the world. There, rest. No more suffering for you. I know where you've gone. It's good. No more flowers in the summer fields of New York. No joy now. No more fear of your husband Louis. No more of my father's sweetness and glasses, his high school decades, debts, loves, frightened telephone calls, conception beds, relatives, hands. No more of Sister Eleanor. She gone before you. We kept it secret. You killed her, or she killed herself to bear with you an arthritic heart. But death killed you both. No matter. Nor your memory of your mother, 1915, tears and silent movies, weeks and weeks, forgetting, aggrieved, watching Marie Dressler address humanity, Charlie Chaplin dance in youth, or Boris Godunov, Fyodor Chaliapin's at the Met, singing with his voice of a weeping czar, by standing room with Eleanor and Max, watching also the capitalists take seats in orchestra, white furs, diamonds, or with the Young People's Socialist League, hitchhiking through Pennsylvania in black, baggy gym skirt pants. A photograph of 4 girls holding each other around the waist, and laughing eye, too coy, virginal solitude of 1920, all girls grown old or dead now, and that long hair in the grave. Lucky to have had husbands later. You made it. I came too. Eugene, my brother before, still grieving now, and Montclair State teaches college and will grieve on to his last stiff hand as he goes through his cancer, or killed, later perhaps. Soon he will think. And it's the last moment I remember when I see them all through myself now, though not you. I didn't foresee what you felt. What more hideous gape of bad mouth came first to you? And were you prepared to go where? In that dark? In that God? A radiance? A Lord in the void? Like the eye in a black cloud in a dream? Adonai at last with you? Beyond my remembrance. Incapable to guess. Not merely the yellow skull in the grave, or a box of worm dust and a stained ribbon. And changed like a tree, broken or flower, fed to the ground, but mad with its petals, colored, thinking great universe, shaken, cut in the head, leaf stripped, hid in an egg crate hospital, cloth wrapped, sore, freaked in the moon brain, naughtless. No flower like that flower which knew itself in the garden and fought the night, lost, cut down by an idiot snowman's icy. Even in the spring, strange ghost thought, some death, sharp icicle in his hand, crowned with old roses, a dog for his eyes, cock of a sweatshop, heart of electric irons, all the accumulations of life that wear us out, clocks, bodies, consciousness, shoes, breasts, begotten sons, your communism, paranoia into hospitals. You once kicked Eleanor in the leg. She died of heart failure later. You a stroke, asleep. Within a year, the two of you, sisters in death. Is Eleanor happy? Max, her husband, grieves alive in an office on Lower Broadway near Wall Street. Lone, large mustache over midnight accountings. Not sure. His life passes as he sees. And what does he doubt now? Still dream of making money, or that might have made money, hired nurse, had children, found even your immortality, Naomi? I'll see him soon. Now, I've got to cut through, to talk to you, as I didn't when you had a mouth. Forever. And we're bound for that, forever, like Emily Dickinson's horses, headed to the end. They know the way, these steeds, run faster than we think. It's our own life they cross and take with them. Magnificent, mourned no more, marred of heart, mind behind, married, dreamed, mortal changed, ass and face done with murder. In the world given, flower maddened, made no utopia, shut under pine, almed in earth, bound in loan, Jehovah accept, nameless, one-faced, forever beyond me, beginningless, endless, Father in death. Though I am not here for this prophecy, I am unmarried, I'm hymnless, I'm heavenless, headless in blisshood, I would still adore thee, heaven after death, only one blessed in nothingness, not light or darkness, dayless eternity. Take this psalm from me, burst from my hand in a day, so my time, now given to nothing, to praise thee, but death, this is the end, the redemption from wilderness, way for the wanderer, house sought for all, black handkerchief washed clean by weeping, page beyond psalm, last change of mine and Naomi to God's perfect darkness, death, stay thy phantoms. White Shroud, 6:35 a.m., October 5th, 1983. I am summoned from my bed to the great city of the dead, where I have no house or home, but in dreams may sometime roam looking for my ancient room, a feeling in my heart of doom, where grandmother aged lays on her couch of later days, and my mother, sanier than I, laughs and cries, she's still alive. I found myself again in the great eastern metropolis, wandering under elevated transport's iron struts. Many windowed apartments walled the crowded Bronx Broadway under old theater roofs, masses of poor women shopping in black shawls past candy corner newsstands. Children skipped beside grandfathers bent, tottering on their canes. I had descended to the same street from blackened subways Sundays long ago, tea and lots with my Aunt Eleanor and dentist cousin when I was 10. The living pacifist David Dellinger walked at my right side. He'd driven from Vermont to visit Catholic worker Tivoli Farm. We rode up North Manhattan in his car, relieved the U.S. wars were over in the newspaper. Television's frenzied dance of dots and shadows calmed. Now, older than our shouts and banners, we explored brick avenues we lived in to find new residences, rent loft offices or roomy apartments, retire our eyes and ears and thoughts. Surprised, I passed the open chamber where my Russian Jewish grandmother lay in her bed inside, eating a little chicken soup or borscht, potato latkes, crumbs on her blankets, talking Yiddish, complaining, solitude, abandoned, an old folks' house. I realized I could find a place to sleep in the neighborhood. What relief, the family together again, first time in decades. Now, vigorous, middle-aged, I climbed hillside streets in Yonkers looking for my own hot water-furnished flat to settle in, close to visit my grandmother, read Sunday newspapers in vast, glassy cafeterias, smoke over pencils and paper, poetry desk, happy with books my father who went to Rutgers had left in the attic, peaceful encyclopedia and a radio in the kitchen. An old black janitor swept the gutter. Street dogs sniffed red hydrants. Nurses pushed quiet baby carriages past silent house fronts. Anxious I'd be settled with money in my own place before nightfall, I wandered the tenement embankments overlooking pillared subway trestles by the bridge crossing Bronx River. How like Paris or Budapest suburbs, far from Centrum left bank, junkie doorstep tragedy, intellectual fights in restaurant bars, where a spry old lady carried her Century Universal View camera to record newspaper metropolis tram cars in September sun. Skyscraper canyons upreared, 100,000 windows shining electric lit above Midtown Avenue's Manhattan midnight. Herald Square crowds thronged noonday under traffic lights to lunch in giant department stores, shop at Gimbel's for dry goods, pause with satchels at hot dog stands, wearing stylish straw hats of the decade. Mankind thriving in their solitudes, in shoes. But I'd strayed too long, amused in the picture cavalcade. Where was I living? I remembered looking for a house and eating in apartment kitchens, bookshelf decades ago, aunts' tragedies, an appendix operation, teeth braces. One afternoon fitting eyeglasses, the first time, combing wet hair back in my skull, young, awkward looking in the high school mirror photograph East Side yearbook. The dead look for a home, but here I was, still alive. I walked past a niche between buildings with tin canopies sheltered from cold rain, warmed by hot exhaust from subway gratings, beneath which engines throbbed with pleasant, quiet drone. A shopping bag lady lived in the side alley on a mattress, her wooden bed above the pavement, many blankets and sheets, pots, pans, and plates beside her, fan, electric stove by the wall. She looked desolate, white-haired, strong enough to survive. Passers-by ignored her building-side hovel many years. A few businessmen stopped to speak or give her bread or yogurt. Sometimes she disappeared into the state mental hospital back wards, but now had returned in her own homely alleyway, sharp-eyed, old, cranky hair, half paralyzed, complaining, angry as I passed. I was horrified a little. Who'd take care of such a woman, familiar, half neglected on the street, except she'd weathered many years' white-haired oblivion for her own stubborn toughness. She had tooth troubles, teeth too old, ground down like horse molars. She opened her mouth to display her gorge. How can she live with that? How eat, I thought, mushroom-like gray-white horseshoe of incisors she chomped with, hard, flat flowers ranged round her gums. Then I recognized she was my mother, Naomi, habiting this old city-edge corner, older than I knew her before her life disappeared. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Amazed, she even recognized me still, astounded to see her sitting up on her own, survived to greet me, mocking. "I'm living alone. You all abandoned me. I'm a great woman. I came here by myself. I wanted to live. Now I'm too old to take care of myself. I don't care. What are you doing here?" I was looking for a house, I thought. She has one in poor Bronx. Needs someone to help her shop and cook. Needs her children now. I'm her younger son. Walked past her alleyway by accident. But here she is, survived, sleeping awake on that wooden platform. Had she an extra room? I noticed her cave adjoined a one-room apartment door, unpainted basement storeroom facing her shelter on the building side. I could live here, worst comes to worst. Best place I'll ever find, near my mother in our mortal life. My years of haunting continental city streets, apartment dreams, old rooms I used to live in from Patterson through Newark to New York City, still paid rent for, homeless, keys didn't work, locks changed. Immigrant families occupied my familiar hallway lodgings. I'd wandered down hill avenues, lost, my money gone. I come back home. I couldn't recognize houses. London, Paris, Bronx, by the Columbia University Library, downtown 8th Avenue near the Chelsea subway, old River Street, Patterson before they tore it down to the freeway. Those years, unsettled, were over now. Here I could live forever. Here have a home with Naomi. At long last. At long, long last. My search was ended in this pleasant way. Time to care for her before death. Long way yet to go. Lots of trouble with her cantankerous habits. Shameful blankets near the street. Tooth pots. Dirty pans. Half paralyzed. Stubborn. She needed my middle-aged strength and worldly money knowledge. Housekeeping art. I can cook and write books for a living. She'll not have to beg her medicine food. A new set of teeth for company. Won't yell at the world. I can afford a telephone. After 25 years, we could call up Aunt Edie in California. I'll have a place to stay. Best of all, I told Naomi. Now, don't get mad. You realize your old enemy, Grandma's still alive. She lives a couple blocks downhill. I just saw her, like you. My breast rejoiced. All my troubles over. She was content, too old to care or yell her grudge, only complaining of bad teeth. What long-sought peace. Then, glad of life, I woke in Boulder before dawn, my second-story bedroom windows Bluff Street facing east over town rooftops. I returned from the land of the dead to living poesy and wrote this tale of mind joy to have seen my mother again. And when the ink ran out of my pen, and rosy violet illumined city treetop skies above the flat iron mountain front range, I went downstairs to the shady living room, where Peter Orlovsky sat with long hair lit by television glow to watch the sunrise weather news. I kissed him and filled my pen and wept.
That was Allen Ginsberg reading about a year ago in New Brunswick, New Jersey, at a benefit for Longshot magazine. And I hope it was legible enough for you. Next week, the U.S. Mail's Willing. We're going to hear Gary Snyder reading his poems. And I also want to remind you that these programs, or earlier programs, are being repeated on Sunday evening at 6:30 during Jim Pansula's program. And I believe this Sunday he's airing Gwendolyn Brooks. So you've been listening to Musebeam. I'm Bob Rickson. You can write us here at Musebeam, WFMU, Uppsala College, East Orange, New Jersey 07019. And I thank you for tuning in.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what arm could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry?
And you're listening to WFMU 91.1 FM at Uppsala College in East Orange. Next up, Pat Duncan.
this is Joe Renner, and these are the Rickson tapes. Bob Rickson was a poet and broadcaster, a pioneer of freeform radio from 1981 at the FMU studios in New Jersey. He passed away on May 8th, 2014 at the age of 66. These tapes are a tribute to his work as a broadcaster and poet. Help this channel by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you very much.